I don't know French, so I'm going to say International Institute for Human Rights in Strasbourg, and Master of Studies in International Human Rights Law at University of Oxford. Professor Susan Akram directs Boston University School of Law's International Human Rights Clinic, in which she supervises students engaged in international advocacy in domestic, international, regional, and UN fora. Her research and publications focus on immigration, asylum, refugees, forced migration, human and civil rights issues, with an interest in the Middle East, Arab, and the Muslim world. Akram's distinguished research was recognized with a Fulbright Senior Scholar Teaching and Research Award for the 1999-2000 academic year. She has lectured on Palestinian refugees to general audiences around the world, as well as to committees of the United Nations, including the UNHCR and the Relief and Works Agency for Palestine Refugees, the European Union, and representatives of European and Canadian government ministries and parliaments. Since September 11, she has presented on the United States Patriot Act and immigration-related laws and policies, as well as on her work challenging standard interpretations of women's asylum claims from the Arab and Muslim world. With her clinic students at Boston, as well as in collaboration with other legal organizations, Professor Akram has worked on resettlement and refugee claims of Guantanamo detainees and has been co-counsel on a number of high-profile cases. Probably Professor Aryan's case as well, because we briefly mentioned that before the conference. She has taught at the American University in Cairo, Egypt, and Al-Quds and Birzeit universities in Palestine. She regularly teaches in the Summer Institute on Forced Migration at the Refugee Studies Center at Oxford University and in various venues in the Middle East on refugee law. Today, Professor Akram will present her talk, The Ongoing Israeli Genocide Against Palestinians and What States Must Do to End It. The topic is especially relevant as the ongoing situation in Palestine raises critical questions about state obligations and global responses. We in Turkey show our full solidarity with the Palestinian people and their struggle for justice and honor to defend their basic rights and freedoms. In different countries in the West, and especially in the United States, we have seen that pro-Palestine and pro-justice activism, research, and voices are under attack and tried to be curbed and silenced. Considering this background and Professor Akram's experience in the United States and about the Palestinian issue, I'm sure her insights into what states must do to challenge and end the ongoing Israeli aggression and genocide are both timely and essential for all of us. Please join me in giving a warm welcome to Professor Susan Akram.
Thank you so much to Isam and the Istanbul Zaim University and Professor Içener for this kind introduction. It's a pleasure always to be in Istanbul, a beautiful city with terrible traffic problems. So I'm going to talk about the ongoing genocide in Palestine, which I know that all of you are very familiar with. But the focus of my talk, which I will end with, is what states and civil society must do to stop the impunity, to stop the genocide, and to achieve some measure of justice. So as you all know, genocide is among the gravest of international crimes that include crimes against humanity, aggression, and war crimes. Genocide is defined in the 1948 Genocide Convention, ratified by 153 states, as well as in the Rome Statute of the International Criminal Court, which is ratified by 124 states. The definition of genocide is the same in both treaties. It is the intentional destruction, in whole or in part, of any national, ethnic, racial, or religious groups through specific acts. And these acts are killing members of the group, causing serious bodily or mental harm, deliberately inflicting conditions of life designed to bring about the group's physical destruction, imposing measures intended to prevent births, or forcibly transferring children of this group to another group. Now, there are two important points to make about genocide as a universal crime. The first is, it is a jus cogens prohibition, meaning no state can derogate from it or suspend its application for any reason. And second, genocide triggers what are called erga omnes obligations, that is, obligations on all states to act to prevent and punish genocide crimes. As is set forth in the Genocide Convention and interpreted by international courts and tribunals, the crime of genocide requires that a perpetrator kill, seriously harm, or inflict conditions of life calculated to bring about the destruction of a group in whole or in part, with the intent to destroy the group as such. Claiming self-defense for the armed attack on 7 October 2023 by Palestinian armed factions on Israeli communities north of Gaza, Israel has killed more than 50,000 Palestinians, including over 42,000 civilians, the majority of whom are women and children. In addition, approximately 100,000 have been injured, with thousands of bodies still lying under the rubble. An estimated 10% of Gaza's population has been killed, injured, reported missing, or detained as a result of the Israeli military assaults. Of the 50,292 Palestinians killed, including those still buried under the rubble, 33% were children and 21% women. Thousands more have been forcibly detained, with over 3,000 still being held in various Israeli prisons and detention centers. Israel has also destroyed thousands of homes, hospitals, schools, cultural heritage in Gaza. Specifically, Israel has committed genocidal acts of killing, causing serious harm, and inflicting conditions of life calculated to bring about the physical destruction of Palestinians in Gaza, a protected group that forms a substantial part of the Palestinian people. On 29 December 2023, South Africa instituted proceedings against Israel at the International Court of Justice, the ICJ, alleging that it was committing genocide in Gaza and seeking the court's intervention. The South Africa case shows that Israel's targeting of civilians has been deliberate, part of a systematic plan to kill and displace as many Palestinians as possible and destroy as much of Gaza as possible. Now, the most difficult element to overcome in genocide claims normally is proving the intent to commit genocidal acts. However, the Israeli leadership, its military and media, have not hidden the intent to kill or displace the majority of the civilian population. The intent to commit genocide was apparent from the statements of Israeli politicians and military from the start, and the evidence is overwhelming that Israel's intention has been to exterminate Palestinians in Gaza, both from the statements and the actions consistent with the statements. South Africa's application, in addition to reviewing the evidence of Israel's actions, included 8 full pages of racist, dehumanizing, and exterminating statements by Israeli politicians, spokespersons, government officials, and media at every level of society, indicating genocidal intent. Additional evidence of genocide that was provided to the court are the Israeli military's starvation tactics, the deliberate killing of prisoners and detainees, and the assassination of humanitarian workers, qualified professionals, and Palestinian elites. In 4 separate provisional measures issued as early as December 2023, it to stop its killing, aid, starvation, and other acts. Has not complied and has flagrantly violated every one of the courts. Aside from the International Court of Justice, also reviewing the facts established by independent human rights monitors, journalists, and United Nations agencies, more than a dozen UN human rights and other entities and non-governmental organizations, including Amnesty and Human Rights, have concluded that Israel's actions in and regarding Gaza since October 7, 2023, violate the Genocide Convention. These detailed reports have all come to the same conclusion. The evidence is overwhelming that Israel is committing genocide in Gaza. But the ongoing violence against Palestinians in Gaza must be understood in the context of 75 years of Israeli oppression and occupation of Palestinians and their territory.